Downloading this episode of Discussing Documentaries with me, Matt Wills, and Rick Wharton. I was going to do a Matthew and Richard thing there because I thought that sounds quite cool.
I don't know. Ever since the feeling I got when Andy Cole went to Andrew Cole kind of solidified that I would never be a Richard.
Yeah, I don't. You're only a Richard when you're in trouble.
Right?
Yeah. Same as Matthew. It's and it wasn't shortened by us, right?
No, mine was.
Oh, did you say Rick? Just call me Rick. Call me Snake.
It was for me. It was like the first week of school, and I hated writing, and all you had to do was write your name. So I just
said this before.
Yeah, that's why I don't have the K on Rick. That's
yeah. Okay. But and there's no K in Richard.
Yeah, never understood it.
No, me neither. Right, hello.
Whoever was the guy who made Dick short for Richard, like, I want to hear his backstory.
Yeah, same as Ted. Right, we are talking about Inside the Secret World of Incels from the year 2019, and it's from Iplayer on BBC Three, and the director who also filmed and produced it, and I think he's got to be the guy behind the camera, right? Simon Rawls. No money, no accolades. And here's the blurb before we get into what I think is going to be a very interesting hour.
Yeah, I thought there was some talking points to this one.
Wow. Right, let's start again. Here's the blurb. A never before seen look at the incel community, an online subculture to which multiple mass murders and hate crimes against women have been attributed. Just before we get into it, before I ask why you picked this, let's just quickly cover the great work of BBC Three. So when it was a channel, that was my go-to channel at TV in bedtime.
Did they have Family Guy, American Dad, all that stuff?
Yeah.
The Boosh?
Yep, all of that. But my favourite, they had a show on there called Ideal with Johnny Vegas.
Oh, yeah. Is that when he's with the weed smoker and the mouse face?
Yeah, he's a drug dealer. Yeah. It's superb, right? 5 seasons of that. And my favourite was Mongrels. Absolutely loved Mongrels, which was basically it was a puppet show. And it was expertly written. There was a fox, a dog, some rats, pigeons.
Like adult comedy?
Yes, very adult, yeah. The cat. The cat, I think the opening scene is the cat being loved by this old woman, and then he gets all around her feet like cat does, and she falls down the stairs, breaks her neck, and dies. Then it cuts to a week later, and he's eating her face. Yeah, it was very funny. I really enjoyed that.
Make a note of that one.
Yeah, Mongrels, 2 seasons, absolutely superb.
I think they did Monkey Dust as well.
They did do Monkey Dust. Yeah, Monkey Dust. There's a body in the car. Anyway, so BBC Three. Okay, Rick, why did you pick a show about incels? Is it because I've been saying for the last year, what's an incel?
Yeah, it's because modern vernacular that I never knew until I'd seen this documentary.
Right.
Yeah, so this is, and I'm not, I think I'm very fortunate that I wasn't, but I was never big into message boards as a kid. I think it's mainly the formatting of them just looked unappealing to me.
Right.
So, like, these whole cultures, like, I've never used Reddit, like, for instance. I never, like, Facebook's got that Microsoft Windows flowering color to it that can keep me scrolling through it, whereas Reddit and the large formatted text ones just go by me.
So the reason you're not a keyboard warrior is because of fonts?
Probably, yeah. Or the reason why I'm not tracking back to find something I wrote when I was 13.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I had a mate of mine who, I said, what you done for the weekend? And he went, I've gone back through every single Facebook post I've ever put up, and I've deleted the ones that could get me in trouble with my future employer.
Smart.
Really? Do you think so? I think you're.
Mind you, I'd say it's smart if you're going for the type of job they'll check that shit out because, like, even in this, I think there's a message within it of, people aren't always the person they are at a certain point.
Well, she makes a point, doesn't she, about online becoming real life?
Oh, it's a she. Then I assume she wasn't saying racist shit. It was more just bikini photos she doesn't want to see.
Yeah, well, the one woman in it, and she just so the woman in it was Dr. Caitlin Rigueur, the digital culture expert, and she helped produce it as well, and she put it all together. Effectively, I think this is her film alongside Simon Rules.
Yeah. She's a huge part of it, and
Yes.
Kent University getting a little shout out there.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, University of Kent.
It's that. So, have you ever met any incels, or someone that you would describe as an incel?
Well, you've told me incels before, and it's never stuck in my brain, right? Ever, and it's now stuck in my brain. So thanks for that. And yeah, I'm thinking around the people I know. Yeah, I know a few of these people. Right. But they're not all bad. Let's start there. We're going to touch on some horrible stuff, but they are not all bad. That's like saying all men are bastards. They're not,
this is
right?
the extremes of the thing.
Yeah.
They're the people that, well, you go and fucking interview for a documentary that we see in the documentary.
Absolutely.
Is a good way to say it. But for me, it was the first time that I looked this up when I'd heard what it meant, and these people refer to themselves as involuntary celibates.
Yes.
And I found that fucking hilarious. Just because it's pathetic. You know what I mean? Like, you need a culture. Like, I'm looking for things to take the mick out of on stage. And when I hear there's a group of people that are called involuntary celibates, women won't have sex with them, I just found that fucking fascinating. And then I watched this and saw how bleak it was and thought, I need a bit more education before I talk about this to a wider span of people.
Right. And they put up the dictionary definition, didn't they? So involuntary celibate, a person, especially a man, who identifies as being frustrated by a lack of opportunities to have sex or relationships. And that's not just sexual relationships. I took that to be relationships with human beings as well.
Yeah, I think that's a large part of it.
Yeah.
Because there's a word that comes up, and whenever we deal with these people, there's a word that, like, it's in the documentaries, tends to be like associated with evil is community.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're feeling a part of something.
Yeah. And I don't think they do a face-to-face. They're just on their keyboards tapping away. And I'm talking about the mean ones, not the nice ones. And fucking hell, it was a miserable watch. But it was also, bits of it were quite uplifting. But bits of it, and my missus had to sit there because she came home, and I went, do you want me to put my headphones in? She went, no, you're all right. I'm just pottering about. And she went, what are you watching? Because all she could do is hit. She went, this is miserable. These people are fucking idiots. I went, well, some of them are. Don't defend them. Well, no, one kid was quite nice.
Well, this is funny because they exactly. Well, we'll come to them because it's almost like they span the dictionary definition, but they start off with, like, the Toronto van attack, the Santa Barbara shooting, and the Tallahassee shooting. And these were motivated by men who feel rebuffed by sex. And the first guy we kind of meet as part of this movement is Elliot Rodger, who was doing YouTube videos. And I had to look at him and thought, he's got good eyebrows. He should have hung in there.
Yeah, he was a good-looking kid, right? So you've got to think he must have been rotten to the core in terms of...
Yeah.
But through all... I've got some questions about these men, right? But the beginning of this documentary, you get that horrible taste in your mouth, don't you? You're like, oh, this is going to be nasty. Ugh. I'm going to need a shower after this one. I'm going to feel dirty.
I'm going to make dinner for my other partner.
Yes. And it just, they cut to those clips of what some men are saying about women, and they don't like me, so kill them all. That seems to be the underlying message. But they're not saying, oh, they won't let me play on their professional football team. Let's kill all professional footballers. Because that stands true as well, right? So, it's just, well, we're going to pick on them.
It's odd, and I think it's more because I think you would have skipped this generation as well due to how long we've been in relationships. But I think
I've never been single.
yeah, yeah,
Never. Yeah.
monogamous from 1 to 1. So then the online dating of the swiping generation.
Is that what they're
So
called?
that's what I'm
No,
calling them.
well, there we
Like,
go. You heard it
um,
here first, folks.
discussed it just the swipe generation.
The
So if
swipe
you think
generation.
if you're, you know, and the mates I have that are on online dating, it's constant. It's constant. They're looking at like it's fucking, Just Eat, and they're just scrolling
Yeah.
through constantly. And if you're like hitting the numbers of 1,000 swipes a day and no one's coming back to you, and
Yeah.
then you're alone for a long time, what that insecurity must build. And again, you're talking
Yeah.
about the selfie culture of people putting pictures. And if you're not the kind of guy, you may notice this about discussing documentaries. Not a whole heap of selfies get put on the Instagram page.
We are not internet dating material. There's a great bit by Jack Clado, and basically he says this is how women do internet dating. And they're like, "Oh, he seems nice." No, I'm not. No, I'm not going to go for him. Let's go to the next person. And then he goes, and this is how men do it. And then he hits a button on his phone, and the music, do 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 do. And he just sits there swiping, swipe. Brrrr. Yeah, that's blokes, right? They are. And I know I'm one of them. We are pathetic. We are genuinely, and I'm stereotyping here, but I'm going to say most men, because most men, we're driven by the same thing, right?
As long as you don't say
testosterone.
not all men, I'll allow you to keep it in the
Right?
episode.
Yeah. But we're driven by testosterone, and it makes us the same way. My missus says, "Look, her hormones drive her mad." The testosterone drives us mental.
I don't think it's just testosterone, though.
I don't think it's just that.
Like, if you look at like
social
the culture,
conditioning.
Social conditioning is a big thing. Like, you watch a TV show, right? Now, every character arc is in a long-running show. They eventually fall in love. All right, that is any characters come to completion. The big fucking finale's a wedding. There's a moment where they meet their true soulmate. You know what I mean? And if you've just been like unlucky in fucking life and plus been treated like shit because there's the guys like the year they lose their virginity is like a big fucking deal to them, like these people, and if it hasn't happened yet, then that starts to build. It's never going to happen. And then you've got these cultures that are no fappers, sort of stop jacking off because women are stealing their magic or something like that. So if you imagine the amount of aggression coursing through these people's fucking veins.
Yeah. There was a great thing that someone was telling me that the Greeks did, where they rounded up boys aged between like 15 and 20, and they just put them in a compound and said, yeah, when you can come out after 20, but in the next 5 years, no, you lot are fucking murder. Here's alcohol. just and they had guards, and they imprisoned the boys of the village because they were like, look, you are a menace to society for 5 years. We get it. You're going in the pit. Stay in the fucking pit.
I'd love you to run for office, Matt.
But you can see why governments like bring in conscription, right? When you do your national service, and a government will go, shit, we've got a lot of angry young men here. Put them in the army. Let's get rid of them for 2 years.
Not enough soldiers, like you're living a bit too close to Putin. You're like, yeah, sorry.
No,
don't need trainee doctors right now.
No, I think it's to get the men off the streets. Right? They're not conscripting women, are they? Women are all right. You're doing fine, girls. No, it's just them blokes.
They do. That's what Elliot Rodger needed. More weapons training, man. That's what he needed.
Fair point. Yeah, fair point.
Quicker reloads, Elliot.
Jesus.
So,
and that Elliot Rodgers guy, fucking hell. Now,
I think he was like
two first names. Two first names.
Yeah.
Enough said. That's all you need.
What? Who else is in your rule for that one? I've forgotten.
I don't know. If you got three names, yeah, James Earl Ray.
Oh, right. So you're evil enough to be remembered for your middle name. Okay, it's written down enough that it's a thing.
But no, but you made a good point of saying, because we said because it's from the film Conspiracy, all serial killers all have middle names, and you're like, nah, they just read them out.
Mm.
Yeah, Because we don't
Mind
go
you,
Rick. I don't know what your
because if
middle
you
name
knew
is.
that
Thomas
person was a
Wharton.
serial killer, you'd have a shorthand to let people know they were coming. It's fucking Tumper. Tumper's coming. James L. Jones has entered. Because this Elliot Rogers, so he's doing the YouTube videos, and his plan was to go to a sorority and mow down 60 people. He couldn't get in the sorority, so he just turned around the corner and just went on a rampage, shooting as many women as he could. You hear footage, and that's like, again, you don't have footage of him doing it. It's just people that were making videos when it started. So you hear the guns popping off, and then they're running.
Yeah,
it's fucking horrifying to think. Like,
it's horrible. Yeah, we've spoke about this before though, about there is part of the culture of America that is damaged that happens, because I don't hear of mass shootings on that regular basis in other countries. Like, when was the last time Japan had a mass shooting? When was the last time Britain had that?
Norway.
Right, was it? Okay, yeah.
Norway would be the last one I remember.
Right, there you go. Yeah, and he killed, what was that? Is it 67 people? I think he killed.
Oh, it was fucking brutal.
Yeah,
because he was on the.
Yeah, he was on Discussing Documentary as the Michael Moore one. Yeah. Where to Invade Next. But there's something in America. I think the fact that maybe you can buy guns. God, we're getting fucking heavy on this one. I think it's the fact you can buy guns. I don't know. Maybe that absolute. Well, if he's got a gun, I've got to have a gun. Everyone's got to give everyone a fucking gun. Nobody move.
People who fantasize about the purge because they don't have the opportunities in life to progress without it being physical force. Does that make?
Yes, absolutely.
Like, I've got mates that like fantasize about there being a purge. He's like, I'll do this and I'll get a Gatling gun on me. Where are you going to get the Gatling gun? That's not gonna work out for you. All right, how long are you going to last?
And plus, Philip, your arms, you're not going to be able to pick up a fucking Gatling gun. Do you know how heavy they are? Jesus. Men are idiots. That's let's say no more about it. But
this is what this documentary could really be called.
It is, yeah, men are idiots. But some are nice. That's in brackets.
I love you. Always just support your team no matter what. West Ham go to the conference, you're still there in fucking the Olympic Stadium. You're like, could turn around.
We'll fix this. That Elliot Roger, so the person he killed is the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Cooper. And
the strength of those two is phenomenal during this.
Fucking hell. Their outlook is amazing, because he said, we like to look at it that she was in the wrong place, but that saved 60 plus girls in that sorority house by being his target. Because that sated him a bit, right? Oh, mate, that guy's strength was incredible. And his forthrightness, talking about losing his daughter. It was just genuinely sad. That was heartbreaking. This was in the first 6 minutes. And I'm like, fucking hell, Rick. What, so we've got 50 more minutes of this.
You hear about this Fruit Loop, and then you're basically taken through the world that admires him. Is kind of the course of the documentary.
He becomes a martyr.
So then we have
but they don't martyr him, do they? So you don't hear any. You just hear that other people adore Elliot Roger and they reference him throughout, but you don't hear what happens to Elliot Roger. You know he died.
Yeah, I think it was death by cop.
Right. Okay. So
suicide.
But they don't go into anything else about him, because they don't want to give that piece of shit any time, right?
And since you don't see a lot of him, he's almost, I mean, obviously, piece of shit, horrible, but the person you develop the most hatred for is coming up in a second for me.
God, yeah. But
so then you learn about from Kathy Rieger, who's like researching online misogyny and stuff, and teaching classes at Kent on that. And then you see like the beta uprising and memes of like Elliot Rogers' fucking faces on them. You've got what they call him, the Supreme Gentleman, as a fucking nickname he's got online. And then you meet Catfish Man.
Fucking hell! He's brave, this guy, right? Because he's gonna hurt women, but he's not gonna show his face. He will not show his face.
I thought it was funny because, like, since the pandemic, you'd have to get a new mask.
Yeah. He's going to have to put a mask over the mask where he cut out so they could hear him speak. So he's
Yeah.
wearing basically a cyclist mask, which he's cut
is that
out.
what that is?
Yeah, and it's cut out so badly. And yeah, he's got a baseball cap on, so you can see his eyes, and you can see him just. And he does and this is what fucked me off about him. Not the most, but it was in the top 3. He's like me. He just kept laughing at shit. And you're like, no, that's not a laughing point, Mr. Catfish. That is not a laughing point. What the fuck are you doing, you weirdo?
Like he's again. I really want to get because they try and get into the core of what he's doing, and they do it very well throughout. But they let him make a dick of himself for a while first. So he shows that what he does is he catfishes women with model photos, then goes to that restaurants and is just like, "Hey, did you think someone good looking was coming up? That means you're fucking shallow." And then he just heckles the women into the car. It's fucking awful.
Yeah, and he does this because he was once hurt by a woman.
Yeah, but he's saying, then they get defensive or aggressive. It's you're in their face with a fucking camera calling them fucking God knows what.
Yeah. He's so damaged. And here's what he does, right? He labels the women. I know I've just labeled them as women. He labels them as the females. Now, it's easier to hate a label rather than an individual, right? So, for instance, I can't hate you. I can't hate, your dad. But I could hate Geordies, right? Because that's the label. I can go, fucking hate Geordies, right? And that, because it takes time to hate an individual, right? You have to get to know them and stuff. But to hate a group, it's a lot easier. And therefore, the minute you label the group, that's why labels are really dangerous. So the people who did this well, the Nazis. So, let's kill the Jews. Let's kill the gypsies. Let's kill the homosexuals. Because you're like, yeah, we hate those people, don't we? Yeah, let's hate them then. It's because you label them. It's fucking dangerous. It's deadly.
To get a groundswell, and again, it's that looking for community. It's oh, you guys are like me. You hate those guys? Me too. Do you know what I mean? And then you buy straight fucking into it like that, to be a part of something.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, you hate that label? Yeah, fucking me too. Yeah. But he says it's okay because he's not killing anyone. Oh, that's all right then.
And he trying to puts it into some kind of weird avant-garde craft that he does. It's it's like a game of chess. No, it's not.
It's
all
not.
Right.
It's
no,
not.
It's not.
No, it's not.
He's talking about how he jacks off to the pictures the women sends him and stuff like that.
And he also said that he thinks Elliot Rodger is a hero because the woman probably deserved it.
He went, do you think that he goes, I probably wouldn't be here without Elliot Rodger. And then they ask him, did they deserve it? And he goes, that is not the right fucking response to that question. They were probably shallow, and you got all these people any gender just fucking sat shut up in a hospital, and it's just this is.
And then he goes, you're not born with the hatred until you feel it as a person, and that's what drives him, right? It's hatred. He's found the world has kicked him a bit, and the world's kicked everybody, right? You speak to anybody, you listen to their story. They've had a fucking shit time at some point in their life. Some people have had a shit time for longer, some for less. But most people have got a shit story. Some people recover from it and use it. And other people like him go, fuck, I'm turning this into anger. And anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Thank you, Yoda.
But the reinforcement to that is when he's putting that shit online, all of a sudden he's getting compliments and lifted up for it.
He's a hero. That's what he says.
Yeah, he's considered a hero to the incel movement. And that then reinforces. And then since people like that about him, or some strata of society like that about him, builds his entire personality.
Because it reinforces his confidence, right? Of going, well, I'm doing something good then. Oh, well, it must be good because all these guys are telling me I'm a fucking great bloke. No, you're not, mate. You're a fucking piece of shit. If you're so fucking great, why don't we know your name? Why do you have to hide behind... Batman is not a good person. You're a billionaire, Bruce. You can fix this at ground level, as Reginald D. Hunter says. You're a billionaire. You don't need to go around beating up low-level criminals. You can actually fix the entire society with your money and your ideas and your science. No, this guy's no different than Batman.
No, I need a motorbike that goes up walls.
Oh, mate, he
But-
was a fucking piece of shit, that bloke. Jesus.
Well,
And then when he
Catherine
kept
again.
laughing, I was like, I'm never going to laugh again. Fuck you,
I'm
catfish.
dead inside. There's a lot of dead air in this episode. This is done. We are numbed right now.
But then it flips. It flips to the New York kid.
Because it's funny what you say about names. Because I noticed this trend, right? Which is when they introduce someone and they only have their first name, you're like, all right, he's probably said some heinous shit. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes, yeah.
because it's Dr. Heidi Kruger, Dr. Kathy Kruger. Then it's got like the parents of the girl. They have their full name, and then it's like, this is Matt, and you see Matt's like an uplifting guy who's cuddling a dog, and you're like, what's this? This guy doesn't seem so bad. What's it? And you're just waiting for some horrific shit. But I think this is what I mean by they show the whole scope of what they consider that fucking word, because he is someone that is unable to get into a relationship.
Yes. And just to go back to that labels point, I wrote, and then I had to delete it when we meet this guy. I wrote, these incels are fucking insane. They're not, because I've just labelled them, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And they're not, because we meet Cuddly Dog Guy. Like, look, no person who's got a dog is a bad person. I mean, even Hitler had a dog, right? When he was, I don't know why I'm fascinated with the Nazis today. All right, okay. One person who had a dog was bad. Everybody else, though, is probably all right who's had a dog.
I don't know. I think they just let him in there to, have some company. I don't know if that's his dog.
No, I think that it seemed like that was his job. And he seemed very good with dogs.
Hey, that's the thing. You're like, well, so what is it about this guy? And he is basically the dictionary definition of he's you're celibate for more than 6 months without it being your choice.
Yeah.
And he's kind of saying how dating in New York is difficult for him.
Yeah.
You see the isolation to it.
Yeah. He says he's lonely. And he said, look, I'm an incel. He goes, but I don't hate women. He goes, I'm just lonely. He goes, I'm not going to get sucked into that hatred and get my hatred reinforced. And, then it builds up and then people are going, yeah, you should hate. Yeah, I should fucking hate, shouldn't I?
And then he shows you some of the websites.
Yeah.
And they mentioned a thing I had to Google because I wanted to know what this was. Did you hear that they mentioned state-sponsored girlfriends?
Oh. Yeah.
Do you know? So there is a strata online that believe if you're single, the government should provide you with a girlfriend.
Is the national health not enough? Do we need to push the levels? What's going on with these people?
We can barely get our fucking bins emptied on time. I don't know what they're sending.
Fuck.
Day after the election day. But I was thinking that is how we split the Tory vote in this country.
Is that that's how you get a Labour government?
That's how you get the working class back over to Labour, right there.
Yeah, that's insane, isn't it? Effectively they want to legalise prostitution but call it girlfriends. That's what they want to do. But they don't want to pay for it themselves because money's a bit tight right now. Because they've got this broadband connection that's killing them. They need a fast laptop to play video games and hate women. So, can the government please give me a girlfriend? I mean, even if you're going to campaign for that, you've probably got enough charisma to probably speak to another human being and be nice, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what gets you a girlfriend. Although America seems weird. I don't get the dating scene in America.
Well, I think we're just too heavily influenced by what the TV dating scene is. You know what I mean? To actually get a good enclosure of it. All I've seen in this country is me mates looking at a phone, then they go for a meal with someone. That's basically all I've ever seen.
Oh, okay.
Or bumping into each other at a fucking nightclub. Other than that, that's...
I think I've only dated my first girlfriend. We went out a couple of times and then, we got together.
It's official. We can stop doing activities.
Yeah. That's it, right?
Listen, is this going anywhere? Because I fucking hate bowling.
He says, I didn't get New York Kid's name. Did you get his name? I must have missed it. Or did they not show? Matt. Of course it's Matt. Yeah, right. Okay. And he said, with the Elliot Rodgers stuff online, it's hard to see who's being horrible and who is doing genuine satire because the line is so thin. between the people taking the piss out of him and the people, hero worshipping him. And then,
you
go
go,
on.
sorry.
No, go on. I'm going to talk about another horrible man.
Oh, is it the next guy who's out in Northern
Yeah,
Ireland?
yeah. Oh no, the Toronto man is the next.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so the Toronto guy, he's the guy who ran them down in the car or the van.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
Kills 10 people, 8 of whom were women. Alex Minassian. And he cited Elliot Rodger as his inspiration. Yeah. What the fuck? But here's the thing, right? Could you not quash... then you get into free speech. Could you not quash the internet sites?
Well, rather than quash, I think they mentioned this towards the end, but this should be being looked at on the same level as religious extremists.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that was... Dr. Caitlin Rager, the digital culture expert, said that. And the reason she got really upset, and I think the reason this documentary exists, is because Toronto was her hometown. And she goes, and that really hit home. Yeah. And he gets martyrdom as well by some on the internet, right?
It's mental. It's fucking crazy. I mean, we saw like Welcome to Leaf. The people just decide they're a part of a certain way of life. They just that's their home now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's where
their core values come from, and then it's fucking. It's got to be linked in with mental health and isolation.
Well, do you think so? Right? Because I think it's part of being a human being. So I think you find your tribe, and if you can't find your tribe, you're like, hello, are you doing tryouts? Oh, good, I'll come and join you. And it's like, look, because we're in the comedy tribe, right, and we're surrounded by people who do the similar thing to us. Can you have me in your little group, please? Yeah, we'd love to. Come on in. Yeah, applications always taking you in. Right?
There's a feeling of belonging then.
Yeah, and we just need our tribe. But she says they don't just feel isolated by women, but by society in general.
Yeah.
I think some stand-up comics could fit. They could fit the profile of.
Because you see Matt later on, who's doing the karaoke. Like, if you just got a tight five, pal, you'd at least be able to share a car journey with some people.
Yeah, you wouldn't be so lonely. You'd be tireder and poorer, but just the whole thing, it was just. It's quite a miserable watch. But saying that, it's well put together, isn't it?
It's like I say, it's a modern thing, and it's one of the things that made me think about, right? And I'm a huge Bill Burr fan.
Right.
Like, Bill Burr is my go-to. If I say who's the best in the world right now, I listen to 2 hours of him a week, easily. And then when a special comes out, I'll probably watch it on the first day.
Yeah.
But when you see these people, and I'm watching this going, they would fucking love these jokes. And it's one of those ones where, obviously, I don't identify as one of these fucking people. I don't have their core values, and I find them funny. But you know that they would really be like, on it.
They will think Bill Burr's one of them.
Yeah. And there is a level of it, and you can see almost that's why the outrage might be not the joke he's telling, but the people that are applauding the joke.
Okay. Therefore, by that rationale, would you say that Bill Burr is misogynistic?
No, because like when you listen to, like I say, I listen to his podcasts every week, so you hear the inner workings of why he thinks that way.
Yes, you do. Yeah. But my mate who doesn't, she thinks he's really misogynistic. Whereas again, if you listen to his podcast, he's quite a nice guy.
But if you're
lovely to his wife, he's got, I don't know what his other kid is, but his first kid was a girl, wasn't she?
Yeah.
The female leads in the stuff he writes are incredibly strong, right? Yep. And if it's for family.
And then you see, so if you imagine from a different perspective, though, we don't have, an image of, if you're getting messages on your dating app calling you like a fucking slut or whatever because you're not messaging back or because you didn't want to see someone again.
Yeah.
And then you see a comedian go, why are fucking women being like this? That will then be diluted by what they've experienced. And that then opens that door to that. I imagine, that's just paraphrasing or mansplaining in the wrong direction, but I can see why they would put that connection. But when you've listened to like 3 hours of them plus a week.
Yes, because you've got to know him, right? Same way people get to know us. I was speaking to someone the other day and they said, "Oh yeah, we listened to the podcast." She went, "I did about 2 or 3 in a row," and I went, "We haven't spoken ages." She went, "I don't need to anymore. You do a podcast. I hear everything that's going on." And she went, "It's like having a chat with you." She goes, "So I know more about you from listening to the podcast than I do from being your mate."
Wait, it's over like 80 hours now, isn't it?
Yes.
So like,
Yeah.
I don't think I have 80 hours worth of thoughts in my head at any given time. So
that's like the.
So, like, if you're going back and listening to Wrestling with Shadows, you're getting, like, the iPod 4 version of Rick. Some shit's happened since then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
We've got different adapters.
Me and my missus are... I checked the other day on WhatsApp. We belong to 50 groups in WhatsApp.
That's one culture I struggle with as a group.
Well, we haven't... I don't think we got 50 things in common, apart from these 50 WhatsApp groups. That's it, right? We've probably got 6 things in common. You know, one of them's the house.
One is that contract.
Yeah. Right, and then we meet. You kind of think he's a nice guy, right? The next guy is James from County Down, Northern Ireland, and just because he's telling with real heart, he's telling his story, and you think, "Oh, you poor man, you're a lovely guy. You're a lovely guy." Whoa! Let's pull back with the lovely guyness. Hang on a fucking second.
So let's get to know James, then we'll hear the pullback. So you meet him. He talks about his insecurity with his looks.
Yep.
And how he now...
But he's not a bad-looking fella.
I know he's in insane shape, but that's kind of covered in the next bit, which is like...
But
so
no, I mean his face, if you just... From a looks point of view. And none of these fellas are bad-looking.
I know.
That's the weird thing.
They actually made me feel bad for looks, some of these guys. It really fucking...
Yeah.
It was a tough watch.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, fucking hell. These blokes are beating me by at least 3 or 4 points. Easy.
And he's like mad about the gym, so he decides he wasn't big enough, so he took steroids. And I forgot that I'd watched it. This is why I'd never take steroids. So he's like a Marvel villain gone wrong, because like he just comes out in all these growths and acne everywhere and hair growing in places that shouldn't be growing.
And bless him, right? He pulls his shirt off and shows you. And to say he's covered in spots, it's almost like he's been sprayed, and his skin's been removed. It must be agony.
And he talks about the decline in mental health and living in rotten and keeping yourself away. And I think this is probably one of the most accessible ways for people who, you know, feel this way or part of this community to start to identify that they may have their own problems as opposed to being the world.
Yes.
And it seems like he's kind of been through some shit. And then he starts to show you raps he did about Elliot Rodgers.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're like, oh, fuck. It's almost like admitting, right, he's an ex-Ku Klux Klan member, and he's, you know, he was the backing band for the Ku Klux Klan band. And you're like, oh,
it's kind of like if he was an ex-Klan member and he's talking about how he's realised that, you know, it's not a race war and that they're not coming to annihilate your culture and things like that. But here are the crosses I used to burn on people's lawn. I put a lot of effort into these. Do you know what I mean? It's that...
And he's really proud, right? And he's laughing about it. And this is where the director starts earning his money. It's when he talks to James and the catfish guy. Because when he's talking to James, this is Simon Rules, the director. He's like, well, can you see how this song about him is bad? And he went, well, it was entertainment. You know, Game of Thrones is entertainment. And the director goes, well, Game of Thrones is entertainment, but it's not real, and we know it's not real. Your stuff is real, and you're hero worshipping him. And he went, would you do that to the family of the girl we killed? Would you go and play? And he went, okay, yeah, I can see how that's bad now. Yeah, okay, I can see that. Yeah. And
without a doubt.
And he has grown as a person, right? You can see that. Yeah, just the language he's using.
Just because of what he's injecting himself with.
Did you watch The Umbrella Academy?
Do you know what? I've not checked that, but I've heard good things.
Superb, right? But the one guy in it gets, I think his DNA gets mixed with a gorilla. And he's got this huge gorilla body, right? Just the body. Yeah, he reminded me a bit of that. Just because he's pretty stacked, right? You're like, fucking hell.
And it's with him, I think he describes it as you're so low in your self-esteem, no matter what you do, you don't think anyone will see it. So the idea of it going across the Atlantic and, reaching and hurting these people's feelings doesn't come near his mind.
Yeah.
He's just putting it on these weird dark sites.
Well, what was that question that Dr. Caitlin Rigier said? Is online hate? Oh, does hatred online lead to hatred offline? I'm going to have to say yes.
Yeah, if you've been in Myanmar recently, yes.
Right, yeah. Because if you're there all day going, you're shit, you shit, you shit, you shit, you shit, you get out on the street, you're going to be going, oh, you're shit, and you're going to cause havoc. Because if you're online going, isn't the world a lovely place? Isn't the world a lovely place? It's the positive reinforcements of whatever you're doing. And when you're hearing it back in your little echo chamber on the internet.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think the solution here is let's just shut down the internet. That seems...
do you know what? I think, like, parents punishing children, we could do with 2 weeks off. Do you know what I mean? Just like, nope, no broadband till you get your shit together.
Yeah.
That should be a national holiday.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
I knew that would tickle you, Matt. I knew that would get you.
I think.
But then,
yeah, put them on the Isle of Skye.
So then, speaking of failed Marvel villains, so then they cut back to Catfish Man, and I don't know where he is, but it looks like he's in his Fortress of Solitude because he's just what looks like the Antarctica, but in his like urban jeans and backwards hat. Yeah. and he's reflecting on being called a hero. Yeah. It is one of the most fucking worst conversations I've ever seen.
Oh, it's fucking awful.
And then
it's better than sex. What is? You typing on your keyboard? Fucking hell.
He said that, oh yeah, that's what someone wrote to him about the fucking videos he was putting up. Is that right?
I don't know. He said that. He goes, yeah, it's better than sex. He said catfishing is better than sex. Yeah, really?
And I'm sure you would have noticed this in the shot. So they spin around to like some derelict cars, and there's literally just a cat, and the cat looks pissed off with him. The cat's like, oh, I hate this guy.
This guy. Why couldn't I get in the Wills' household? They spoil their cats rotten.
And then you hear his backstory. So he broke up with his girlfriend of 4 years, and he was a domestic abuser, restraining order. He broke the restraining order and got sent to jail for it, and then came out as Catfish Man.
Yeah. He's got no empathy, right? He's a sociopath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see him going for a fucking haircut for a date.
Yeah. And what was with the director's shot where it looks out the window, then it comes back and he's scratching his cock? Did that need to be in there?
Well, if that was a movie, that's typically to imply sexual deviancy, isn't it? Like,
oh, okay.
Which I don't think we need to know, but if that's like, in a movie, a bit like I've told you this before, the same reason I would never use breath freshener spray is because Saved by the Bell, it would always be like the creepy geeky one. If he was about to leap on a woman, would put that on his mouth first.
Yeah.
So now I have bad breath. Thank you, Screech.
He's angry. Catfish Man is angry at all women. What about his mum? None of these people mention their mum, and we don't look at their mum at all. That's
a fair point. That should have been asked by the interviewer, yeah.
Yeah, because their mum's a woman, I'm guessing.
Well, actually, okay, here's some mental gymnastics then. So their mum married their dad, and by their looks, I'm guessing that the dad's not very good looking, therefore she's not one of the shallow ones that's the problem?
Right, okay. Yeah. But they're all good-looking fellas. That's the thing. But it's body image, isn't it? It's what you see.
Because it's Matt that describes the 80% of men in a poll were undesirable to women online.
Listen, I'm undesirable to women.
Oh, yeah, I don't make the A-star cut.
Exactly. Me and you are not. Yeah. But, you adapt. That's what human beings do. You make yourself desirable. You find out whatever the niche is.
You get the best damn unironed tartan shirt you can.
And you be a funny bastard. That's all you got.
Stick on a black hat that hides the unibrow and you hope for the fucking best, sir. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
I'm thinking one day will Catfish will he catfish a catfisher? And these two catfishers will meet.
Well, that happened.
Oh, right. Oh, did it?
Well, because it ends with Catfish Man, where he's getting his hair cut to go and see this woman that he's going to post online, and you've seen what he does in the past to them, and they're going with him this time, and the woman stood him up. And they're like, oh, they outfoiled you.
Oh, is that right? Okay. No, but I'm thinking he'll actually meet a fellow catfisher who turns up and says, hey, I've fooled you. And they're like, no, we fooled you. Oh, should we get married? Yeah, let's get married. And then they go off. They stop being horrible. They have children together. They team up. They have children together. And they cure world hunger. You don't know the ripples that it could cause, right? You've got to find the positives.
It's a pebble in a pond, you know? A pebble in a pond.
You don't know. And he said as well, the same as James did and the same as the piece of shit who did all the killing. Let's just stop saying his name. Let's not give him any more power. He said he felt lonely as a child, and all three of these blokes said exactly the same.
Yeah.
And when he said, the director started asking him really basic questions like, so why do you feel like this? What if you met a girlfriend? And he went, I don't understand these basic questions. These are stupid.
Yeah. He's like, I don't know, maybe concentrate on my life, figure some stuff out. You know what I mean? He has like a moment of realization. Oh, maybe this isn't worth it.
There's a point, you know, when you collect whatever your thing is, right? Whether it's Pokemon cards or, I don't know, sticker book stuff. Like I was mad about Star Wars sticker books. There's a point where you go, this is bullshit, man. How much time? This is me working in corporate banks. I'm like, this is fucking bollocks. What am I doing with my life? That's how they need their moment of, we used to call it the come to Jesus moment.
You know,
fucking hell. I'm going to go and earn a lot less money. I'm going to be judged by strangers rather than people whose name I've got on a help desk ticket. Yeah, that's what I want.
See, I would say it's almost like they need a sticker book.
We need to get back into Pokemon.
Yeah. Have you thought about playing Conkers?
Oh, man. They try and wrap it up well. But he doesn't do it.
You can't.
Rules. You can't because it's so fucking depressing.
That's not like toothpaste you can put back in the bottle.
No.
So it's kind of.
It really isn't, right? I feel damaged by watching this. Yeah.
But I can also, I kind of understand like outrage at certain lines and like the way fucking women are depicted. If this is contributing to how these people fucking think and are groomed into this community.
But
I mean, they're fucking idiots, and I'm pretty sure they'll join an aggressive community anyway. But,
yeah.
Because it ends with the... No, sorry, you finished your thought there.
Oh, it's gone. I was trying to... Because, yeah, that's right. They seem to have a hatred for not just women, but a very specific type of women. Beautiful blonde women.
Yeah, models that won't sleep with me. Yeah.
So, and they're the ones that they want to do that. You're like, okay, really? All right. Because have you tried maybe looking beyond? Because that's just as shallow as what you're hating.
Yep.
We hate in others what we see in ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this bunch of people won't sleep with me. Well, have you tried the other 99% of women who are not blonde model-like, right? That is a very small section. They're pretty great.
Yeah. By this definition, I am an incel. Blonde models that I've never shown a particular interest
me too.
in hanging out with me in the slightest.
Yeah, I've never had a model offer me anything, actually. We then cut, so it wraps it up with James and the New York fella. So Catfish, you kind of think, oh, he might be having an epiphany. I'm betting you he doesn't. The New York fella does some karaoke, and you're right, yeah. Just write a couple of jokes, mate. You seem quite funny. You seem a lovely fella. Go on. And
stop singing songs about being lonely. Like,
yeah.
Don't wear a suit to a karaoke bar, all right? There's just little things, fella.
James from County Down, Northern Ireland, he meets a girl online, and she's now his soulmate, although he hasn't met her in person yet. And she feels the same.
Yeah, because he'd never, I mean, again, you talk about isolation. He says he's never held hands with someone, and that...
Yeah, he's never hugged anyone.
That's severe mental strife, and I think that him putting his videos online about his mental health...
How brave is that?
Yeah.
This is, yeah. And he went, I just opened up online. I just put it all out there about how I felt. Okay, fair play.
Can you imagine
Good
if
on
people tuned in hoping for a second album and getting that?
Yeah. You're beautiful. The sobering stats just at the end. The incel websites are all over the place. Some of them have 40,000 members. I don't know if that's a lot though, right? There's 7 billion people on the planet.
Yeah, it's not a lot. It's
Yeah.
not, but if they all own vans, it could be a big problem.
Well, I guess so. But One Direction have got more than that, and they're shit as well. I don't know where that came from. I think this documentary's made me a very
all over the place today, Matt. Can you imagine One Direction sharing their earbuds, listening to this, and go, "Hey, where'd that come from?"
We've done nothing to hurt Matt. What's going on? And then the final incredibly sobering stat is since Elliot Rodger murdered 6 people in 2014, there have been at least 3 copycat killings in North America linked to the incel ideology. That should say the bad incel ideology, shouldn't it?
See, I just think if you're in around that, okay, all right. The guy who's doing the karaoke, okay, who's not a bad person, he just hasn't slept with someone, right? There should be like a different phrase for them now. All right,
okay.
there is.
There is. He's called an incel. Everyone else is called a fucking nutter, a misogynistic.
Yeah.
prick.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. They're nutters, and yeah. And yeah, you're right. Incel hatred should be treated the same as extreme terrorism.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Because that's what it is.
I didn't need them all to be wearing the same fucking hat to be watched. Like,
yeah. And they cause a lot more damage than extreme terrorism.
And I think it's the worry of the growth since everyone's online so much. And again, like we spoke about earlier, this instant gratification of fucking online dating or instant rejection.
Yeah, it must be brutal.
That's going to shape some people down a wrong fucking path. And whether or not they're disposed to that or had a childhood that makes them vulnerable to that, it's, yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking miserable. Anyway, good pick. I must admit, I learned a lot. I did learn a lot. What did I text you afterwards? Heaven knows I'm miserable now. When you're quoting Morrissey, you're like, shit. What do you reckon then? What you Go on, sorry.
I'm giving this for informative and just, again, seeing a culture that exists that you don't know about. I don't think it was a particularly a bad watch. It was a typical BBC where they've kind of, we're filming from this date to that date, and we get everything in that time. So we do watch, I mean, you pick one out of there, West of Memphis. That's a 20-year story with a resolution, how you feel about yes or no. This is like, this exists. Good day, sir. And then they back away from you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but in terms of like, I don't know, checking sometimes your opinion when you're talking about certain stuff and learning kind of what other people might have to fucking deal with because these people are out there. And when you know them, they just talk to you about what fucking player your fucking football team might be signing. But then when they get online, they fucking message and hate shit like that.
Yeah. What do you reckon then? Give it a score, mate.
I'm giving it like a 3. A 3. Worth checking out is what I would say. 50 minutes, not bad.
I mean, our podcast is probably going to be longer than that.
Depends on the edits.
I'd recommend it as well. It was really informative, right? I'd say it made me think. I used to think incel was some sort of silly joke. I didn't really pay attention. Now I'm never going to be able to forget it.
There is a phrase, the comedian Anthony Jeselnik, obviously you know.
Yeah.
Jeselnik, the one-liner guy. He was talking about the Jerry Seinfeld documentary that shows Jerry Seinfeld and Orny Adams. Now, Orny Adams looks very arrogant and annoying throughout that documentary, and he's very dislikable in the documentary. And other people have said, I think you've even told me he's not like that in person.
Apparently, lovely fellow.
And Jeselnik in person says this, but people used to quote that if he was being arrogant, they would say, "You're starting to sound like Orny Adams." And then when you watch these kind of shows, you can almost go, "Oh fuck, I'm starting to sound like one of these cunts." If you're fucking, talking half baked on a subject where you haven't put a lot of thought into.
Yeah, was that the Donnie Kruger effect? Donnie Kruger.
Donnie Kruger is or imposter syndrome. The more you know, the less you know about something, the more you think you know about something. Is kind of, or the less experience you have, the more you think you know. Whereas Donnie Kruger is the more you learn something, you realise just how expansive a subject is. So I think nailed that one.
Wow. Okay, now. I'll give this a score as well. I'm going to give this a 4.
Nice.
Yeah, he taught me under an hour, right? Simon Rules. Did some good stuff. I might check out and see what else he's done. Just to.
That's not a bad show.
I reckon that'd be a good job. What do you reckon? BBC? They go, you got to go make another documentary. We've got to do some Adam Curtis stuff soon as well.
Yeah, we'll do that. But again, you've got to go and hang out with fucking Catfish Man. Do you know what I mean? Like, if he met a woman in that restaurant, you had to be there with a camera crew while he did that shit.
Yeah.
That's a rough day. That
is a rough day at the office.
And if you're the PA trying to get her to sign a release form to get in the fucking documentary.
Let me ask you this then. Do you think they get an idea for a documentary and then they go, okay, so we're going to go, right, start with phone Louis Theroux first of all. If he's busy, then we're going to go with this guy. And they just work down the list. And eventually they phone you up and you're like,
yeah.
Louis busy, was he? Yeah, okay. I'll go to America and see some fucking nut jobs.
We might get a call to be like, listen, there's a bunch of people who fucking hate polar bears, right? And they just, it's unnatural. Like, they refuse to let their kids go to a school where they admit polar bears exist. And we need just, Grizzly Man got good numbers, so we figure you two are the guys to do it.
Yeah. It's in Saudi. You both all right with that? Oh, sorry. We're on a no-fly list to Saudi.
Hey, I'm going. I'm fine.
I'm never going to go Saudi. No, they're going to kill us. They will fucking kill us.
Did you ever hear the story of the Cardiff owner? The owner. I think it was. I don't want to misnationalize him, but I think it was like Taiwanese.
Right.
The Cardiff owner, and rich guy buys the club, wants to turn it around, and they had a whole drive where they spent some big money on a few players.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. They were in the Prem for a little bit, right?
Solskjaer got them relegated, the current Man United manager.
Right.
But he got his son's mate to paint his office. Right? So he's in his office, and his son's painting the office. And his son plays Football Manager, the same game as me, and he just starts fucking recommending players to him, and he becomes the director of football. I think that's why they signed like a player called Medal or Gary Much or Medell. And this guy, 20 for pace, 20 for finishing, get him for 4.5 million from Atlanta. Boom, jobs are good. And he comes in, he's like a 4 point.
Marcus Phoenix, get him. I just heard about him. Just get him in.
Fucking amazing. There's a great documentary about people who have done that, and this is what we'll finish up on about Football Manager, because Alex McLeish, his kids came and went, Barcelona have a 14-year-old on the game, try and get him, and that 14-year-old was Lionel Messi, and Rangers almost got Lionel Messi on loan because Barcelona had him on there. They actually inquired because they're like, well, what's this guy about?
Well, because he wasn't great, was he, to start, Lionel Messi? And that's why one of the reasons he wanted to stay with Barcelona. He went, look, they stuck with me. You know, I had back problems, I had this, I had that. They stuck with me. I wasn't a good footballer. I had to work really hard.
I'm not sure on that, because I've seen the documentary on him, and he like bangs in a hat-trick on his debut at 16.
So yeah, but I don't think he was like that
player.
as a kid. I don't think he was as a kid. I think he was, I think he's worked very hard. I like what we've done is turn the misery into happiness by talking about one of the greatest footballers that's ever lived, to try and remove from our mind these fucking horrible people we've just had to experience for the last hour.
There's going to be a documentary in 2 years' time called Lionel Messi Off the Ball, and he's just done, he's the Steven Seagal of fucking football. Like, oh my God. Just because he looked cute, I just believed he was nice. I'm sorry, he just didn't look like he aged.
My missus, she went, that Rick seems all right. She said, but I can't forgive him for how he's turned Steven Seagal against me.
That is an excellent episode of that.
That is a great one. Yeah, that is Behind the Bastards.
The Steven
Seagal. That is superb. Right, let's wrap this up, mate. What's next? What's next on the docket?
I think we're going to do
Under the Bus.
Do a Louis Theroux, unless you have something you got lined up you want to do.
No, Louis Theroux's great. Have you picked one already?
We'll do Louis Meets the Nazis.
Oh, what? Because I'm talking about Nazis. Scratch Wills' little itch on the Nazis.
Oh, well, that's just the one that came to mind. Have you got one you'd like to see?
No, I don't follow Louis. I just...
right. So the Westboro... I don't know, because I don't really want to talk about dark people that often. I'll pick one and I'll post it.
Okay, so we might not do the Nazis. All right.
Probably not the Nazis, because I don't want to have to skirt around the fucking language they use and be like, yeah, those people are... It'll be the same episode as this, other than Louis Theroux being glib during it.
Yes. This episode, 12 seconds. Hey, I'm Matt. This is Rick. Thanks for joining. Ta-da. Right, if you want to follow us on our... if you want to follow our Facebook page, Rick posts Rick's going to post what's coming up next. Instagram, Facebook, tweets. We're starting to do it. We're not great, but we are starting to do it. And the videos. And if you get a chance, I don't go to our Facebook page that often. That is clearly Rick's department. But I went there. This is embarrassing. I went there by mistake the other day, and I was like, "Oh my god, there's loads of memes on here. They were really funny, man."
Oh, thank you.
No, they're really, really funny. I was like,
some of these documentaries, it's difficult to put a meme out that's going to get a laugh.
Yeah.
I got to be. Sometimes I got to just rely on the DVD cover. But yeah.
No, they were good, man. The text is that's your forte. You're a cracking joke writer. Yeah, on the Patreon as well, if you fancy joining up to that. If you're not sure what the Patreon is, basically you give us some money every month. It helps support the podcast, and there's a lot of extra content on there. And when I say a lot...
Yeah, we're beasting over 10 hours at least.
Yeah, pretty... at least, actually. So, yeah, pretty soon it will be at least halfway to what's on the regular feed. So
wow.
And coming up soon is on the Patreon, Making a Murderer. We got to get on with that shit, man, because I need to know what happened to that guy. I can't even... Stephen Avery, right?
Stephen Avery, Brendan Dassey. We're up to episode 5 so far, so...
Stephen Avery, right. Anyway, thanks for joining, discussing documentaries. Say goodbye, Rick.
All right, take it easy, guys.
Ta-da.